All right, let's talk about outbound prospecting. Probably the toughest job in any company, right? And you've got SDRs, you've got AEs trying to self-source pipeline because things are still a little bit weird out there. So if anyone is watching this and they are struggling to put quality meetings on the calendar, this strategy might be for you. So what I usually see when reps are struggling to book meetings outbound is they're working a massive list of accounts, and then there's lots of different personas in those accounts, and then the messaging is pretty much the same for all of those. And what ends up happening is they become everything to everybody. It's very cookie cutter, one size fits all. So I always recommend downgrade, like really reduce the list and apply this strategy to that list, and then lift the volumes once you start to crack some of that code. So let me take you through what I mean. So when I'm running discovery training, and this is really relevant to prospecting, when I'm running discovery training, I recommend sales reps use hypothesis-based selling on discovery call to help us earn the right. So basically, when we're talking about a hypothesis selling model, what I'm talking about is, you can see here in the screenshot, basically it allows salespeople to come prepared to that first conversation using customer profiles and things like that to form a hypothesis around what problems that organization, that person is likely to be facing and how we can solve those. And that really helps salespeople, account executives earn the right to run really deep discovery without having to ask questions like, what keeps you up at night? Now, we're here to talk about outbound prospecting. The reason this is so effective is if I've got a list of, say, 500, 10,000 companies in the CRM, I'm looking for the ones that have the highest propensity to buy. Which ones are showing me a signal, an indicator that they might need to buy some kind of solution that I'm selling? Doesn't mean they're going to, but the ones that might be. And it's not going to be the full 10,000, right? Out of the 10,000, it might be 50, 100, 250, whatever it might be, right? Depending on your industry. So I want to figure out a way to be reaching out to just those accounts. And there's obviously lots of tools that you can use, but I found this really simple Google Doc is going to be super effective. So let me show you how that works. Let me just jump out of this screen here. Let me jump into this. So I call it the daily 5 system. Basically, you do this every day, 5 times a day, 5 days a week. Okay. And basically, what it's allowing you to do is to every day update and sequence 5 new prospects that are hyper targeted, hyper researched without feeling like it's a pain. Like I used to hate when I was a rep spending an entire day once a month or once a quarter, literally just building out a new list to go and target for the next 30 or 90 days. Used to find it super painful. So now I just started doing it 5 times a day instead at 8 a.m. while I'm having my porridge and a cup of coffee, listening to some tunes in the background, do this 5 times, sequence those prospects, get on with my day, next day, do the same again. So let me just take you through the flow here. So let's just assume that I'm an account executive and I'm selling customer success software to large enterprise organizations, and it helps them identify which accounts are showing a sign of maybe churning, which is going to impact their revenue goal, and I can do something about it. Okay, or help those customers do something about it to prevent them from churning. See those indications early so they can tackle them head on. So let's say, for example, one of my accounts is Salesforce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill out this Google Doc. You can put this into HubSpot, Salesforce, Outreach, Salesloft, whatever it is, into the note section. Yeah, just copy and paste it across and then update it. So I put in Salesforce, and then I'm looking for those company triggers. Remember, what are those indicators? If I'm driving down the motorway and I'm heading towards a roundabout, and a car starts to indicate right, I know they're indicating. I'm going to know they're going to turn right. So I'm looking for those indicators. So a couple that maybe I've noticed for Salesforce, maybe I can see they've got 24 open customer success roles. Those are a bunch of very expensive hires. Why are they doing that? I'm curious. Maybe I can see they've made some very expensive and senior executive hires. Maybe I can see they've just hired a CRO and an SVP of customer success. Again, these people are expensive salaries to pay, and you're only going to be hiring these people to either come in and solve a big problem or get ready for big growth, right? Or re-strategy, or reorganize the organization, the sales organization, the customer success organization, whatever it might be, right? So there's usually a big reason behind those kind of hires. Maybe I can also see that they've got really low G2 crowd scores from their customers, maybe a bunch of 1 stars. Obviously, you need to find these triggers for your context, for your company, your industry. Drop me a DM if you want a couple of ideas. I've got a whole load of triggers that you can use. Um, Maybe I also see there's a couple of prospects. Maybe I see John is the CRO and Sarah is the SVP of customer success. I'm going to write that down. Then I want some contact observations. This is going to be nice for personalizing my video, my voice note, my email, even a cold call. I can put it into the PS of my email, for example. So maybe I noticed that John did a post 3 weeks into him being in the role saying the organization is super focused on creating a world-class customer experience that drives raving fans, that helps create a bunch of people that say loads of good things about the brand and helps obviously customers come inbound. And maybe Sarah, when I was on her LinkedIn profile, I noticed that she used to work at SAP and Oracle before joining Salesforce, and maybe those two are my customers, right? But maybe Sarah wasn't my champion. Maybe she was just one of the users on the tool. So maybe she's not familiar with me, and I was the person that brought that tool into SAP and Oracle. So I'm going to use that as my personalization and my trigger as well. And then what I want to do next is I want to start to build out my account hypotheses. So as I mentioned on that last slide in the Google slides, this is going to be the part for me to start to form kind of my thinking or my logic around, hey, if I had to justify why I'm reaching out to this prospect, to my boss or to the organization, why are we going to spend time with Salesforce? These are going to be some of the reasons. So maybe I'm thinking that the business is experiencing really high customer churn, which would make sense because they've just hired a bunch of expensive people. And I can see that in the last 6 months, they're getting more negative reviews on G2 than they are positive. Maybe the business is going through significant growth and is planning ahead. So they're bringing in some horsepower, a CRO and an SVP of customer success, and a bunch of CSMs to get ready for that growth. There's nothing worse than you landing a bunch of customers and not being ready. So maybe they're getting a head start on that. And that could be that they just raised a load of money, or they're really starting to figure out go to market. And the third option could be, and again, the beauty of this hypothesis is they're all like assumptions, educated assumptions. Maybe they're about to acquire a company and take on 3,500 customers from the company they're acquiring, which would then link back to number two, getting ready for significant growth, and they want to be ready. So I'm building that account hypothesis as well. So if the cold call connects with Sarah, I've got a couple of things to fall back on to really drive value in the conversation and sell the value in the meeting and having a conversation with me and my organization. And then just for other useful areas, I'm documenting a couple of LinkedIn posts, maybe where John spoke about building a world-class customer experience. And then some other resources. Maybe if they're big enough, they'll publish an annual report. So I'll take a couple of snippets from the annual report, feed that back into my messaging. Owl is a really great free tool. I love Owl. It aggregates lots of news articles into one place that sometimes don't make it to the company's news page on their website. So sometimes you'll miss that. Maybe there was something really powerful in a bit of PR that went out that you can really tie into and drive value around. So like I said at the beginning, prospecting has always been hard. It's a little tougher today than it was a few years ago. But if you're really strategic with your outreach and help the prospect connect the dots between where they are today and where they need to be tomorrow and how you can help them get there, the before, the after state, the current state, the desired state, whatever you want to call it, if you can really show them that you understand their world and you've got experience of taking people to a different place, they'll find time to spend some time with you, right? If you're just going to send out cookie cutter, hey, we have this AI best in class, best in class technology, etc., like people aren't really resonating with that. They want to spend time, precious time they probably don't have, with salespeople that understand their situation, and help them overcome their objectives and get more time back on their calendar. So hopefully this helps. If you want a copy of this, reach out. If you've got any questions, reach out. If you want a breakdown of some company triggers that you can experiment with and see if they're a good indicator of people that might be in market or about to come into market, just drop me a link